It's another Rajarshi Nandy special.
Jai Bhairav Baba, Jai Maa Kamakhya, Jai Maa Tara.
If I ask you to create a hierarchy between Kaali, Kamakhya Devi and Tripura Sundari.
So look at the phases of the moon. Maa Kali is Amavasya. Tripura Sundari is Purnima. Can you say that I will have Amavasya and I will not have Purnima? You will have both. And Kamakhya is both, all of this together.
I think there was something divine about Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj.
Shivaji Maharaj was no ordinary man at all. He was born with the specific purpose of protecting Dharma.
Goosebumps.
That famous story there where he gets the sword from Maa Durga. Kings that India had, the Dharmic kings, all of them more or less had some connection to Deity Upasana.
I wonder what the logic is behind the working of Shabar Mantras.
So Shabar Mantras are faster than Sanskrit mantras in terms of activation.
Really?
They're very fast.
Why? For the average listener who's keenly listening to this podcast in the search for a guru, is it fair to send out the message that the guru appears when the student is ready?
Yes and no. How long have you been searching for a guru? Unfortunately, today 99% people just don't know how to meditate. Just closing an eyes and sitting is not there.
Is there meat behind that thought that if you step out of India, it will affect your sense of dharma?
Certain practices, if you're doing it, it's better not to step out.
Why?
There is an intensity in Kaali which is not there in any other form. I remember one incident right now. Some encounter with some entity at night one day.
It happened in your dream?
No. I woke up and then saw the thing. It was a bit shocking to my ear. I didn't expect that it would.
It's a Kalima special. It features Rajarshi Nandy. Sorry for making you guys wait this long. But this episode and the next one are going to be even more epic than all the other Rajarshi Nandy episodes that we've uploaded till date. The ultimate all-star of TRS is back. Enjoy the episode. It's another Rajarshi Nandy special. How are you, sir?
Wonderful. Start with Jai Bhairav Baba, Jai Maa Kamakhya, Jai Maa Tara.
Jai
That's
Bhairav
how
Baba. Jai Maa Kamakhya. Jai Maa Tara. Okay. Every school of Hinduism, I know it's all beautiful. We're not going down a competitive conversation. We're not going down a dissing conversation. We're just talking about Sanatan Dharma as it is. Every school says that the universe began with its own deity.
Correct.
So Shaivism will claim that it began through Shiva. Vaishnavism will claim that it began through Vishnu. And Shakt claims it began through Mata. Today we are going down the Shakt route. Right? Now, we will talk about Dash Mahavidyas. We'll talk about the very, very Sattvic Lakshmi Ma, Durga Ma, Saraswati Ma. We will begin by talking about the origins of the universe according to Shakt. I think we've briefly covered this in the past. But as far as I understand it, it begins with Kali Ma.
Yes. So, the first most primordial power through which everything comes out in the Shakta conception of the universe is Aadya Shakti or Para Shakti. Aadya means the source power. I mean, for lack of better words, you may think of it as a corresponding energy at the point when, say, physically they say there's a big bang that happened. I'm not saying it is exactly the same, so people with the scientific mind don't, get worked up by it. But I'm just saying as an analogy, it's the source point from which everything is originated. So first, there is Adi Shakti. Adi Shakti creates the Trimurtis and the deities. Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, all these are created by her. Ishvara Tattva is created by her. From the highest gods to the lowest stone, inanimate object, it is her creation, everything.
How does she look?
No one knows. We have conceptions of her, means which helps us in dhyana. But fundamentally, she is beyond conception. So a deity, one of the concepts is that a devata, she can be infinite. She is both without form as well as she is with form. For the benefit of the upasakas, for the benefit of humanity, she sometimes takes up a personality. Though it's a fantastic personality, not like ours. It's a multidimensional, hugely powerful personality. And these personalities are the various devis we worship, of which the most important is Kali. Maa Kali is she was popular in Kashmir. There were 12 Kalis that used to be worshipped. Then parallelly on the eastern side, we had huge amount of tantras devoted to the worship of Maa Kali. There was the various forms of Kali. There is Dakshina Kali, there is Bhadra Kali, there is Guhya Kali. The various forms of Kali are there. But Kali is in a way the source from which in the Kali Kula, there are in Shakti Upasana, there are two branches even. So that diversity is also given. So you can decide that, okay, Maa Kali is the main deity I worship, your Ishta Devi. So she is taken as the source from which all else has come out. All the other, even the other forms of the Mahavidyas.
What I will ask you is that I've always heard that Tripura Sundari is the origin point. I remember on our recent episode, you said that Kamakhya Devi is a form of Kali.
Kamakhya Devi is both Kali and Tripura Sundari.
Are they the same?
She is fundamentally Nirakar. If you go into the Garbhagriha of Maa Kamakhya, what you see is a flowing water that comes out that I was talking about the last day. In fact, in the Garbhagriha, there is a naturally formed yoni and there is a constant flow of water perennially in the hills that happens. This is actually the closest you can get to Nirakar, without a form, without a shape. Her energy is present there because humans cannot directly go to the Nirakar so easily. So there is an Utsava Murti. Utsava means where you can do the puja part and which can be taken around. A Vigraha is there, slightly outside. That Vigraha is of Kameshwara and Kameshwari. She is considered as Kameshwari. But there are sampradayas, because whenever a Devata becomes Nirakar, she can take a multiple forms. She is not bound by anything. There are sampradayas that worship her as Aghor Kali. There are sampradayas that worship her as various forms of Kali. She can become Kali, she can become Tara, she can become all the Mahavidyas.
Is there a hierarchy? If I ask you to create a hierarchy between Kali, Kamakhya Devi and Tripura Sundari, is that even a valid question?
It's an interesting question. So look at the phases of the moon. Maa Kali is Amavasya. Tripura Sundari is Purnima. Can you say that I will have Amavasya and I will not have Purnima? You will have both. And Kamakhya is both, all of these together. She changes her forms, whereas there is a way of worshipping her as Tripura Sundari, there is a way of worshipping her as Kali. There are in fact iconographies which show her with 6 faces, and each of these there is Durga inside her, there is Chandika inside her, there is Kameshwari inside her. Kamakhya, that Rupa, is described as in the Kalika Purana as the boon-giving form of her. So she is in a very happy state. It's described like a young girl who has been married with somebody she likes, and the first night after consummation of marriage, when she is in an extremely happy mood, that is Kamakhya. Whatever is asked in that mood, she will give you. And then the next moment, she can pick up the sword and she can become Chandika. Chandi, which is Durga. Okay. So the same Kamakhya can become multiple forms.
Gotcha.
So when we are speaking of Kali, so if we...
yeah, maybe Atharv can pull up Kali Ma right now.
So even here
screen.
also, if you see this, just pull this up once. So this is Kamakhya, and these are the 3 Vahanas. There is the lion is Vishnu, the Swet Preta, the white Shiva, that's a Preta, that is Shiva, and then there's a lotus. That lotus is Brahma. On that she sits. So there are 6 faces, means there are 6 methods of approaching her. All of them will work. It depends on the upasaka, what he is capable of.
So the 6 faces that are depicted in these images are actually 6 pathways.
Correct. 6 major pathways.
You mean tantric pathways?
Yes.
So different techniques, 6 different techniques.
6 mantra krama is there, yantra is there, etc. Then not only this, even in the Shabar Tantra, which is another branch of another part of Tantra, where Sanskrit mantras are not used. Okay.
Oh. What language is it?
It could be Hindi, it could be Bengali, it could be Awadhi, it could be Punjabi.
What was the word you used?
Sabar.
Damn.
Sabar Tantras. So it's very popular in North.
What would a Hindi mantra be like?
It could be so many things. I mean, I won't spell out a mantra. Say, for example, if you look at it that way, even Hanuman Chalisa is like a Sabar. Okay.
Which is an Awadhi.
Awadhi. So non-Sanskrit language, potent chants on mantras.
Damn.
And through the Sabar method of worship, any of the deities can be worshipped, including Mahavidyas. So there is a specific Sabri Devi, a deity who is considered as the source from which all this mantra siddhis and everything in the Sabar path comes in. Even that is Kamakhya. There are many great Sabar Upasakas who have attained siddhi in and around Kamakhya. There was also the great Matsyendranath who used to be considered as the great Kola. It's the biggest of the acharyas who was from Kamakhya.
I always assume that when it comes to mantras, since they are written in Sanskrit and since every Sanskrit akshar has a certain effect on your throat, on your chakras, every Sanskrit letter has an effect on a different body
Correct.
part. That's why when you put those letters together along with the emotion of the deity involved, that's what unlocks the power of the mantra. So I wonder what the logic is behind the working of Sabar mantras.
Yes. So it's the same logic. There's a very famous anecdotal story. I don't know how far that's true. They used to say that Tansen, who was a musician in the court of Akbar, or perhaps even great musicians, classical musicians. So when they used to play certain ragas, say Rag Deepak, the lamps would light up automatically. How is that possible? So they are not actually chanting a mantra, right? But there is, apart from the technicality of Sanskrit mantras, Sanskrit is very sophisticated for mantra shastra, but there is also the other thing, that is your strong vital energy that comes through your emotion. So when a mantra comes out through the word of a siddha, somebody who has attained perfection, even if that is in a local language or a non-Sanskrit language, it carries along with it certain power. So the upasaka in Sabar has to chant those mantras, but in a certain vidhi, in a process, which process is specific to that mantra. For example, there could be some mantra, protection mantra, which one may have to do, say, on a particular tithi, on a particular day. Sit and do X 5 malas or 7 malas using this kind of environment. And then it gets activated. So like this. So Sabar mantras are faster than Sanskrit mantras.
Faster?
In terms of activation.
Really?
They're
Why?
very fast.
Why?
Why means that's because Sanskrit mantras are more comprehensive. Sanskrit mantras, activating a Sanskrit mantra is actually like getting a PhD.
Okay.
It is very comprehensive. It will take a lot of time. It may take lifetimes of efforts. But once it gets activated, it's going to stay with you always. Whereas for non-Sanskrit Sabar mantras, they activate quickly, but they need to be recharged on and on. Otherwise, the power will fade away also.
How do you recharge them? Through your own upasana?
Upasana. Paddhatis are there. In fact, the night before Holi, it's considered one of the most potent nights for recharging Sabar mantras.
When you're burning the fire?
Yes. The night before Holi, when you're actually burning the fire, that night is considered as very potent. In fact, not just that night, 1-2 nights before that only the energy shifts. So those who have Sabar Mantra of any deity, it could be, by the way. Sabar Mantra, whether it's Bhairava, whether it's Devi, whether it's anybody, you start chanting the mantras and doing the sadhana and it reactivates. It will remain with you active for the whole year.
There's a particular sadhana or technique which is used to recharge a mantra.
Depending on the mantra specifically.
Sure. Okay.
And there are also sadhanas, which are rare, by which if a guru gives it, competent guru gives it, if somebody accomplishes that sadhana, any Sabar mantra will get unlocked.
You mean you can make your own mantra?
No. For that, you have to attain siddhi.
But there is.
There is. Because see, your words must have that kind of self-actualizing power. That I say something and it is going to happen. That is what technically is called as Vak Siddhi.
Manifestation.
Exactly. Anything that comes out of your mouth, nature will make sure that it happens. For that, only those things will come out which will happen. Now, whether you are being a channel for nature to execute things or whether there's a free will inside you that is making things get executed, I don't know. But that is a blessing that comes from nature, from the deities. Only that kind of a man can create a mantra.
I'm assuming it's a very difficult siddhi to obtain.
Of course. But it's mentioned across the tantric texts.
Okay.
All deities.
Okay. Maybe 1 second. You can. Can I read out?
You can read out, but every Sabar mantra will have its technique. So it's not about just chanting.
Okay, I won't read out. But if I do read out, will it have a negative effect on me?
No, mostly Sabar mantras don't have a negative effect.
In that case, Atharva. Google Bhairav Hindi Sabar Mantra. I just want to see what the words are. That's all.
So oftentimes another thing is that Shabar Mantras may not even have a meaning. That's very interesting.
Until one is putting the emotions in it, there's no power.
So that's what I say. There's not just emotions. Emotion to baad mein aayega. Before that, you have to activate that.
Activate it.
Through specific sadhanas which are linked to that specific mantra.
There's no way you can go down the tantric spirituality path without a guru.
Yeah, it's primarily, I mean, you have to be very gifted if you have to do that. Even then you'll need a guru. Somewhere somebody has to mentor you. Though by default, here is the other thing. Just having a guru does not mean the end of it. I've seen many people with a lot of fantastic gurus making zero progress. So in spite of a guru, in spite of everything, there's a lot of hard work that should go in from your side. So I believe that a better way is that you choose the deity you like. You keep doing upasana of the deity in the capacity that you have at that moment. And the deity himself or herself will open the path, make you connect to the right individual at the right time. Then what is the next step? Everything will happen. Have faith on the deity.
I've always wondered this about gurus. So they were born as normal human beings.
I suppose so.
Okay. Perhaps spiritually grew through their 20s, 30s, 40s. And at some point, did their deity instruct them to become a guru? Like, how do they themselves become gurus? Because this is that same argument about a lot of fake gurus being out there. And you see this all over India, even outside India now. Like, I know there's so many fake gurus sitting in the Gulf. Like in Dubai, guiding people there, telling them that, oh, this is ancient Indian mysticism. But actually having some shady practices involved. So what's the actual traditional correct way of even becoming a guru? Maybe I'd also like to ask you, are you qualified to become a guru?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm just an upasaka. I am not a guru. I keep telling that I'm just an upasaka. Yeah, there are people I mentor. I might call them, for lack of better words, as students. That's about it. But I don't like to use the word guru. It's a heavy word. Coming to from the individual's perspective, suppose you go out in search of a guru, specifically when it comes to a tantric guru, or even a Vaishnava guru for that matter, Vaishnavism or Shaivism or something like that. Few things have to be checked. First is that at no point, and these what I'm telling you is things that I've learned through my own life as I walked this path. So I've met very fantastic gurus. I have 3 gurus. They're fantastic. And I've met people who appeared as gurus, but later I figured out that a lot of hot air. So there is also the ego that comes in some people. They love to be right from day one, ki I want to become the guru thing and all that and stuff like that. And then eventually it doesn't work out because obviously they haven't done their own sadhanas, neither have they attained anything. There's an ego boost that also happens in people. That I want to become the guru. People will come and fall at your feet and they'll say you're fantastic. That makes you feel happy. So I've seen that types also. For the upasaka's point of view, for an ordinary person's point of view, suppose you want to have a tantric guru and you want to have a initiation. So look at who the guru is, who the guru's guru is, and who is the guru's guru. 3 lines of gurus have to be very clear. A, they have to be belonging to a proper sampradaya, which means that you know that they are connecting to XYZ deity upasana. Number 2, all 3 of them have to be of the same path. So that's also interesting. It's not like you go to a guru who says that I am a tantric. His guru was perhaps a Vaishnava bhakti yogi. That individual's guru was a hatha yogi. That means the current of Shakti has already got tampered. It doesn't matter how great they may be. They can be flying in air for all I care. But that Shakti has already been tampered. 3 generations of guru has to be very clear who belong to that path. And which means that suppose you want a diksha of a Vishnu mantra, suppose Vaishnava diksha, you go to some place where there's a Vaishnava gurus, they're also the same philosophy you'll have to follow. You'll have to check who is your guru, who is the guru's guru, whether he also was a proper Vaishnava, he followed the Vaishnava lifestyle, he had attained perfection in sadhana or not, and then who was his guru. 3 generations of gurus have to be very clear. This is that establishes that, okay, this is a proper lineage. Now, it's possible that the guru may or may not be highly evolved. I'm just practically saying because we live in the age of Kaali. Okay, it's not necessary that every guru is highly evolved, but if you have, so that is why after the initiation, you have to work hard. If your guru has not attained siddhi of the deity, it is very unlikely that you will also get directly siddhi eventually of the mantra from that guru.
But then how have they qualified as a guru?
Because there are many processes involved. And also, number one, there are many processes involved which you will never know until the guru shows you. You cannot learn it from books. You have to have a mentor, number one. Number two is that it also connects to, so even if that individual, he himself may not have attained the highest state, if he comes from a proper lineage, okay, if he comes from a lineage that has unbroken flow of Shakti, of the deity, so some blessing is already tapped inside there. Whether it is manifesting in him or not does not matter. The moment he's giving you initiation, that blessing is flowing inside you. Okay, it's a bit like, suppose there are families where one individual is a great genius, okay, and then the next individual who comes may not be, the son may not be very great, maybe a very ordinary person, but the grandson may turn out to be fantastic again. But means that the flow of Shakti is there for some generation because of some karmic, karmas of the individual or whatever it is. That current becomes subconscious. It's not manifesting, but it's still flowing through the passing through the family. And then right individual soul gets born and again it comes up. But if that flow is not there in the first place, it does not matter how great is the soul or the connect, the greatness of the individual or the soul. Chances of manifesting that power is very less. This is one point. Number two is that to start a sampradaya, then this is more complicated.
What is a sampradaya?
Sampradaya means suppose lineage. Suppose you become a guru one day. Okay, I'm just saying. Suppose you start a sampradaya. You want to decide that, okay, from now on there's going to be a lineage of followers of Ranveer. Okay, so to start a sampradaya, three things are very vital. One is that you must have the will of the devata. The deity, a deity, whoever it is, among the primary deities, not wo chota mota some roadside idhar udhar cutting, not the lower entities and all. No, one of the primordial major deities we worship has to will that through XYZ individual, my upasana paddhati, my devotion, for lack of better words, the sadhanas will pass down into the human plane and will continue. Once that is willed, obviously that will take you spiritually to a higher range. Then the next thing that will happen is there has to be somebody, either you yourself or another person or somebody else, who must be able to explain the sadhanas in terms of the scriptures. You cannot go beyond the scriptures. Anything that diverts too far from the scriptures, especially in terms of sadhana, in spiritual practice, eventually falls off the road. Because the scriptures have a tremendous Shakti, because they came from beings, from rishis and all that, are beings which are far more evolved than you and I can ever be actually. Okay. So they have coded that power in the scriptures. They have given the guidelines broader, that you do not violate this. So long as you follow this, you will see that it'll carry on. The moment you start violating, little bit also, it will eventually, get stagnant, and eventually it will dry up. That stream will dry up. This has happened many times. So basically there has to be one mystic who can bring in the power of that deity, whose sadhana paddhati, who is the prime deity of that sampradaya, the Kula Devata of the sampradaya, for example. And another individual who can explain the sadhana paddhati within the framework set by the scriptures. This is how the Vedantic Sampradayas have come into being. So there is the same Brahma Sutra, same text, Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, but the interpretations are different. Advaita Vedanta gives it one, Vishishtadvaita another, Dvaita another, etc., etc. So they're taking the same scriptures, but they're showing that how my path is also within this framework. I'm just changing the perspective. Nobody's going beyond the scriptures. Same thing, if somebody creates a tantric sampradaya, the methodology of worship has to be as per the tantras. It will not go beyond it. Whichever deity, and that is the beauty of dharma. There is never ever going to be the concept of, for example, we have avatars, Rama, Krishna and all that, but we do not have prophets. So nobody can say that from this point onwards, I am starting something that has never been done in Dharma. I am recreating a new path. Absolutely, that will not work. The scriptures that has been given are also, it's not strict in the sense there are like Indian classical music, the notes are given. You have the leeway to play it very well or play it at a mediocre level. So there are some parameters that are set. And to understand that also, you must have a very highly developed mind that what exactly is being told to you, how much you can go, what you cannot do, etc. In terms of sadhana, I'm not talking about ordinary life. That is different matter. Ordinary dharma is different. But sadhana dharma, because tantras are primarily sadhana texts. So that is important to understand that that framework is already set. So once that framework is there, once the blessings of the deity is there, then that sampradaya will start and run.
Okay. For the average listener who's keenly listening to this podcast in the search for a guru, is it fair to send out the message that the guru appears when the student is ready?
Yes and no. Because people misinterpret that. So I keep getting emails a lot on this topic. And my first reaction is, so how long have you been searching for a guru? So what people do is they'll sit on the internet and type 5 emails here and there and think somehow the guru is going to manifest. Aisa nahi hone wala hai. Even to buy a t-shirt also, you have to go 10 places and search. So if you want a guru, take time out, keep 1 year period and go and meet people across India. Find out who the deity is it that you like. Say Tantra sadhana you want to do. Go to Tantric Sampradayas. Meet people. Don't commit yourself. Okay, I want to become a disciple immediately. But just see how you feel.
Where are these places?
Across India. Search you'll find.
Tantric Sampradaya.
Means schools that teach Tantra sadhana.
If you just Google it.
Ask people. Google. South India it's there. East India it's there. So many places. So spend at least a year going and meeting people. Don't expect some perfect guru to come. Perfection is not going to come. You are not perfect. Why will the guru be perfect?
So gurus can also be flawed.
Everybody is a human being at the end of the day. But you revere the guru because he is giving you some knowledge. And after he is giving you important knowledge. And after that, you do your own sadhana.
Okay. So with a guru, how much time does one usually spend in order to get the guru?
Now that
Diksha?
depends on the, that depends on, the diksha can happen very quickly. It depends if the guru likes you. I mean, you develop a bond with the guru and you are okay with the diksha and the rules, etc. that are there. So the guru can then set a date and say that come and I'll give you the diksha on this so and so date.
And the actual teachings?
After that, it'll come.
But they usually take how much time?
That depends on what is the path. So there may be people who will have the same guru for throughout their life because they're learning new things. Whereas there are people who have multiple gurus. Even in Tantra, even in the field of Tantra, I know people who have multiple gurus. They have taken initiation from different sampradayas. So it's all right. All this is fair. There's nothing wrong in this. And important thing is that carry on your sadhana.
How many gurus have you had?
I have 3 gurus. In future, I'll have more.
Really?
Huh.
Okay. You're not allowed to reveal
No, I will
more.
not tell about them, but I have 3 gurus. One of them in South, one of them in North, one of them in Kamakhya. And in future, I may have more gurus. I'm completely open to the idea of learning from somebody if I find something that they have which is worthy of learning.
Like what?
Could be anything. Depends. I can't prejudge this. So once I meet an individual or see something, I feel that, okay, there is some kind of knowledge that I want. Obviously, there has to be in the mind some desire for it. And also because the deities I worship, if I get an indication from them, there may be a karmic rina with an individual that he has to initiate me into something. Okay. So the deities will give some indication. So I may go and fulfill that. So I'm completely open to the idea of having multiple gurus or somebody having one guru. Important thing is keep doing your sadhana.
When you see your guru, how do you feel?
Reverence.
Like sort of like my sensei, my
Yeah.
teacher. Okay. You know, when I see my judo sensei even now, I still feel so much reverence. So I'm assuming that
Yes.
this works exactly like that.
Yes.
Whenever you meet them, you're like, this person really showed me what I needed to learn in life. Okay, back to the main
Yes.
subject, which is Kali Ma.
Say this one. Go to this one.
That one?
Yeah, this one. Next one. Yeah. This is
That-
a very standard painting.
That is the standard form of Kali that one should know.
This is one of the standard forms of Maa Kali. Okay. So this in here, you see that she's standing on Lord Shiva, and there is a khadga in her hand and a munda in her hand, a human head in her hand. Okay, and she's showing the Abhaya Mudra and the Varada Mudra. Abhaya means fearlessness, and she's blessing also. Okay. Now, this iconography, the story says that when she was very furiously enraged in battle, she was unstoppable. Of all forms of the mother, these are all the theories are there, but of all forms of the mother, she is really unstoppable. When she gets activated, it's impossible to stop. That type of ferocity and power she has when she's fighting against the Asuric forces. And that bloodlust also comes in. Okay. So it's become so difficult to stop. Therefore, that is when the stories say that then Lord Shiva, because she's a husband, he's a husband, so he lies down on the floor so that the moment she's going on destroying the Asuras, destroying, she steps on Lord Shiva, and then immediately she realizes what she has done. So then she calms down. That is the general colloquial story about this. There is spiritual significance to this. There are many Kalis. Not only the ones that are mentioned in the scriptures, but there is also whenever you're meditating a form of Maa Kali, you're creating a formation in the astral plane of Kali. If you have the capacity to meditate. Unfortunately, today 99% people, at least among Hindus, just don't know how to meditate. I mean, just closing an eyes and sitting is not there. Concentration has to be there on that form. Most people can't meditate.
And upon a mantra, I'm assuming?
It could be a mantra, it could be even the form of Maa Kali.
Just keep visualizing.
But along with visualization, what is your feeling? If you are scared of Kali and you are visualizing Kali and you have the capacity to visualize, to do dharana on the form of Maa Kali, you will end up creating a form, but that form also feeds on your fear because you are looking at the form with fear. That is why Kali Upasana is not fit for everybody. So what you are going to end up creating is some entity that has the look of Kali, but that is not Kali. That is going to increase your fear because it feeds on your fear.
You mean you're creating a lower entity yourself?
It's not even a lower entity in terms of like a, how would I call it?
Asura.
वो तो बहुत ऊपर का बात छोड़ दो. हाँ, even not even a bhoot and all that. This is basically, this is a technique that is very useful in occult. You can actually, if you have the capacity, if you have the Shakti in your mind, you can create formations and you can even make them do things. The accurate way, how accurately you're creating the formation will determine what kind of formation it is and what roles it can play. So a competent upasaka, on the other hand, will meditate on the accurate iconography of Maa Kali, perhaps with a mantra. The mantra is the aid to meditate. Mantra is creating a vibration so that you are connecting to the energy of Kali, which is the higher realm. Okay, and along with that, you're meditating. So as you're meditating, that power that you're generating, that feeling, that anubhuti, it cannot be fear. Either it is virasa, that you are a vira, okay, you are somebody brave, that strength that is manifested in Maa Kali, or there is a feeling of love and devotion towards Kali. So these feelings combined together along with the power of your concentration and a formation of Kali comes into existence in the astral plane that will eventually interact with you and one day take you to the actual Kali.
And it is the real Kali Ma's energy within that.
Yes, this is the method of mantra sadhana.
Okay. Now, audiences might think that I'm doing a bit of promotion here, but I'm not. I'm actually genuinely asking you this.
Yes.
We have a mind performance app in which you have built out a meditation series.
Right.
There is a Kamakhya Devi meditation within that.
Not yet, but we have done Bhairava meditations and one on Maa Durga.
Now, the thing is that would go out to like the average person, not even a Tantra upasaka.
Yes.
So how is that meditation different from the kind of meditation you just spoke about?
Yeah. So in order that this, good question actually. in order that even people who are listening to that meditation, after doing the process that is mentioned, it's a very simple process. So before even going into this, I had thought about this, that what is it that can be put out in public? What is it that should not be put out in public? One of the safest meditation techniques, regardless of what deity you are worshipping, is that after you do the mantra japa, focus on your heart, deep inside your heart. Imagine the deity made of light. Okay? White light. You don't even have to imagine blue, red, or anything else. Pure white light, the same formation of the deity. Or if you don't want the deity, you can just imagine a single flame of light deep inside your heart, and imagine that that is the form of Maa Kali, or that is Bhairava, or that is Shiva, anything. With this meditation and the mantra sadhana, you are very unlikely to go wrong. It has an automatic safety feature built in with this.
It's something for beginners, effectively?
Not only beginners, if it activates, it can take you to a very high spiritual level also, but it's very safe.
You've basically put an atom bomb into that.
Yes. So at the end of the japa, I tell people to just imagine Bhairava, when doing the Bhairava series, as a white light in your heart. You do that meditation, combine it with the mantra, do it with the process. You don't have to tell anybody. Khud hi dekh lo fir eventually what happens. Add patience to it. Nothing happens in 2 minutes except Maggie. Okay, add patience, add some time, do that, you'll see the results yourself.
We'll link it down below. That was a little promotion. It's the honor of my life to collaborate with you for my occupation.
This is what Baba wanted, and it will happen. And it will benefit people.
When this thought came to me to collaborate with you, professionally speaking, I let it pass through that filter of, does this feel right? And I remember calling you and telling you that, sir, you think about it, meditate over it. So you got an affirmation from your meditation.
Yes. Primarily, as I keep saying, there is going to be already this start. There's going to be an upsurge in the energy of Bhagavan Bhairava. And we need to spread out a simplified upasana of Bhairav Baba. I'm not saying complicated upasanas. So there's a wide range of upasanas, obviously, right? But something that is doable by anybody, that will bring in some positive benefit, that will improve their lives, that will give them strength, that will give them the courage to go ahead, things like that, because his energy is most active at this time.
But this active Bhairav energy that you're speaking about will become even more active because of the prana contribution of the upasaks.
Yes.
As in, anyone who uses these meditations is also fueling Bhairav's energy.
Correct. Absolutely.
This is how the world of deities works.
Yes. In fact, as I have mentioned multiple times, so there is even there is an open Telegram group where a lot of people get connected, and some of my students manage the group as moderators and all that. So they give Bhairava Upasanas on Ashtami Tithis. So people sit and do japa of the mantra. Same thing. Same japa of the mantra. And so last Ashtami Tithi, together 51 lakh japa of the mantra was done. 51 lakh is not a small number, but that's not enough. Eventually we should go into crores. So on not only that, we do specific pujas to Bhairava in Kashi, in Kal Bhairav temple, in Batuk Bhairav temple, in Ujjain Mahakal. Then there are other, there are specific pujas initiated in Kamakhya also, in the various places, Tarapet and multiple places, etc. with the aim to strengthen dharma. It's not for an individual. We are not doing it for A or B. When dharma increases, it benefits everybody. So I feel automatically this kind of a upsurge in the connection to Bhairava that ordinary people have felt. And I've seen the strangest people I never expected would be doing a japa, have ended not only doing but benefiting. See, once you start seeing the benefit, you are automatically hooked onto it. So nobody has to come and tell you that please do. No. You will then wait. When do I get the chance to do it? Like that. So that is possible when the deity has willed it.
I know that Tantra exists in the world of politics also.
Yes.
Now, when people hear that statement, they might have a negative connotation attached with the statement in terms of, oh, so are you saying that politician A does black magic on politician B? Perhaps, but it likely means that politician A, who's gaining success in the material realm, who's growing in terms of power, is probably doing the right kind of upasana for his or her own deity.
That's one way of looking at it, yes. And in fact, not just politicians, let's go back a bit. kings that India had, the dharmic kings, all of them more or less had some connection to deity upasana.
Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj.
Shivaji Maharaj is that famous story there where he gets the sword from Maa Durga. So famous.
So he was a Shakt Upasak.
What else?
I would argue, maybe this is my Maratha bias in my heart, because my mom is half Maratha.
Okay.
I feel some humans elevate themselves to reach that level, at least near a deity, if not the deity. I think there was something divine about Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj.
100%. Swami Vivekananda, when he was roaming across India, he had come to Maharashtra. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was Pune, perhaps. And there was a Maharashtrian doctor who was there. And in the course of some conversation, he made some not very respectful remark on Shivaji Maharaj.
Who?
That doctor is there. And Swami Vivekananda was like, immediately his anger shot up. Okay. So he first starts that you are a Maharashtrian and you are saying something like this. He says that this is not an ordinary man. This was as if Shiva was born because the cries of the ordinary dharmika people, because of the various kinds of torture or other things that they were facing. So they cried out to the divine. Then Shiva decided to get born. By the blessings of Bhagavati, then he helped establish the empire. Not only established, he stopped the flow of the whatever atrocities were happening, etc., and made sure that even in the south there was some degree of protection, etc. You look at his life, etc., he was terrific. So Swamiji was very clear in his mind, and if Vivekananda is saying it, you can take it for granted that he knows what he is saying.
When you get into the actual history of Shivaji Maharaj, you notice all his ideas and innovations. Now, the one thing I know about ideas and innovations are that they come out of that same pool of creativity which is in a human's mind,
Right.
which is actually fueled by the divine / deities. So all these innovations that he came up with in order to grow the Maratha empire came out of a deity's will at some level.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And in the last podcast, I think we spoke about how our goal is to sort of, at least in this phase, to re-establish those Bhairav temples at the borders of India.
Yes.
I would believe that, how there's this whole narrative that South India has a lot of its ancient temples intact still, but North India's temples are kind of destroyed. So if you actually study medieval history of India, definitely while the North Indian temples were getting destroyed, the deities would have noticed and kind of would have created this divine being that we know as Shivaji Maharaj to protect the realm of the south. Otherwise, that would have also been conquered and destroyed.
Right. Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. I mean, those who are scholars and historians can tell you more details about it. But there is absolutely no doubt about the fact that Shivaji Maharaj was no ordinary man at all. He was born with the specific purpose of protecting Dharma. And there is, in fact, even an anecdotal story that was told to me. I don't know the historical texts or anything. So, but it is believed that a group of priests or a group of upasakas and Brahmins specifically had done lot of japa of certain deities, so that there is at least one individual born, a king born, who has that kind of abilities, or who has the power and the blessings in order to stop the onslaught of the invading armies or the tortures that were happening. And then comes Shivaji Maharaj. Even today, and for centuries to come, he will be revered. That is the effect of Shakti. Shakti is exactly this. It is not what you are during your lifetime. That is wonderful. But the true test of Shakti is time. You are dead, gone, finished, 300, 400 years later. Even now, people are revering you. People are looking up to you with respect and adoration and trying to see what you have done. That is Shakti.
Goosebumps all over my neck, legs, arms.
That is Shakti. It is only in the canvas. Mahakal spreads out the canvas, time. And in that you will be tested. What have you done? At the brief moment, you can be very good, very bad. We don't have the vision to see for large periods of time. It's only when sufficient time is given, then the truth will come out. If you were dharmic or whatever, what kind of energy you had, you will know at that time.
We've had so many military vets on the show. And this is the joy and blessing of my job, that I get to meet all these different professions. Military vets have often spoken about combat. When they're in the middle of battle, you're trusting your training and your instinct and luck to a very large degree to both save you and conquer the enemy. I would wonder what medieval battle was like when swords and spears and maces were involved. Of course, it must have been slightly slower than modern day combat. But back then, the warriors who actually went into battlefields were definitely drunk on the power of their own form of divinity.
Absolutely. The best of the Kshatriyas are those who have the blessings of the deity. In fact, there was a particular piece of historical text that somebody had sent me. Now, I don't remember the text. There was one of the kings in, I think, present day Rajasthan or Haryana, that side. So he had defeated the Mughals in a battle and very fiercely defeated a larger army. And the text describes that before going to battle, he used to do some rituals. And that included, so one of the things is they used to take opium so that, it gives you a kind of a sort of a, reduces the pain. Like, when you go into a battle, obviously you'll get hurt. Doesn't matter whether you win or lose, you'll get hurt. So he used to do a specific ritual and go into the battle so that during the battle, it's as if he was possessed by Kaali. And he would slaughter the enemies. So that these things were very common. I mean, anybody, and I'll tell you this, anybody, whether they are conscious of it or not conscious of it, the moment you are in a position where you have power, and power could be fame is a power, money is a power, anything. When you have power, it is always some or the other force that is behind you. Now, whether the force is divine or not is another matter. Some of the best kings and the leaders have always been, consciously or unconsciously, guided by the force of these great gods. And among the gods, it is Devi whose power is most linked to the rejuvenation and rebirth of India, of all forms. It is, look at it, it's Shivaji Maharaj, Devi Upasak. Okay, there are so many other, the whole of the Rajputs. So I'm not going into nitty-gritties of history. Historians can tell you better. But Rajputs, most of them had the Kula Devi as some or the other form of Maa Durga, right? Ramakrishna Paramhamsa gets born just as a mad priest in a temple of Kaali. Nobody hardly took care of him. Then comes Swami Vivekananda and his disciples. Vivekananda makes him famous. Years later, all the revolutionaries in India used to revere Vivekananda, like to the extent that there is a particular scene in a Bengali movie where there is a British officer who comes in and he's going to arrest somebody. And the photo of Vivekananda is kept in the room. Vivekananda had expired long back. And he tells the British officer, who is this guy? Wherever I go, I see his photo there. This guy is spoiling their minds. But Vivekananda is not there anymore at that moment. So, Kaali inspires Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Ramakrishna inspires Vivekananda. A chain reaction happens eventually. There are so many great freedom fighters who get inspired. And today here we are. So, who did this? Devi is always the first and the most important deity. No, other deities are also important. But somehow, in the reawakening of India to its full glory, there is a very big role in the Upasana of Devi. And now I'll come to the next part. To re-establish Shakti Upasana in its true format. So right now in India, there is a lot of Shakti Upasana that happens, but that is, the attitude of the Upasana is not entirely derived from the Tantras and the Agamas. So the Tantras and Agamas are the scriptures of Devi. Okay, let us be very clear about it. The Upasana Paddhatis that happen right now, more or less among the ordinary people, is kind of influenced by a loose Vaishnavism. Let's put it that way. So Devi Upasana, for example, Bali and these things, Tantra, Mantra, these things are very important. This is her path. Tantra is not some, roadside Baba sitting and doing some gimmicks and magic. No, it is a path of Deity Upasana. It's a path of Devi Upasana. And in order that re-establishes in this whole land, the first being that has to be invoked is Bhairava. Without Bhairava Upasana starts, increases, reaches a certain crescendo, reaches a particular threshold, crosses the threshold, organically Devi Shakti Upasana in its true format will also rise. It is like a thing that, the same way that today, as I mentioned to you, 51 lakh japas are doing, has been done. How did it happen? I didn't go and tell anybody to do anything. I came in the podcast, that's fine. But after that, normal, whatever, I'm doing my own upasana and all that, etc., etc. Entirely organically it happened. Entirely organically. So it's at best, there is some other force that is working. Same way, you establish Bhairava Upasana to a certain level that it renders the atmosphere with that japa of that Bhairava Nama. Give it some time, automatically Shakti Upasana in its true format, the raw original format which is supposed to be, that will also awaken.
We're heading into a fierce 2030s. Seems to me like the next 5 years are about re-establishing Bhairav temples.
Yes. That is one of the goals I have. And if Baba wills it, we should have at least 8 major Bhairava temples. And I have a configuration in the mind. What is the internal structure of there will be at least 10-11 deities established inside each of the temples in a certain configuration, certain manner, with yantras and specific puja paddhatis and things like that. Ideally, it should happen in certain key areas, like say one in Bengal, one in Punjab, one in the north, one in Tamil Nadu, as like this.
Rather than just building the statues, the government should focus on this.
It's Baba's will. He'll get it done how he wants it.
This is going to reach cabinet ministers. I'm 100% sure. This episode.
And
as do all the other episodes that we record with you. But go on.
It's his will, I feel. And I've got some very positive nimittas also. So I don't have a particular time frame, but let's see. In the next 10 years, there's at least 8 temples, and they should be, even at a very mundane level, if you go to the Bhairava temples in any town, for example, there are hardly small shrines or some, there's a main shrine. On the side, there is some chota mota construction, something like that. You'll have to actually search for it. I had gone once looking for the Ashtabhairav temples in Almora, and it was a painful exercise actually, because the temples are so small. The Bhairava Pratishthas are so small, you'll have to actually, even the locals are not even aware fully.
How large are you thinking?
Oh, it should be good enough space. It should have, as I said, there are 11 deities should be there. There are specific pujas that will happen. There should be places to sit and meditate. There should be a place where certain fire rituals will happen, etc. So there should, and along with that, each deity has certain areas or certain kind of geographies that it likes. So there has to be some plantation or some trees inside that area, something like that. Yeah. It should be something that can last for, so it's, don't look at it as, something you make for your own benefit. No, something that can last for 500-600 years. And it should hold dharma, it should hold the energy of Bhairav Baba, and it will benefit everybody for generations and generations.
Do you intend on making it out of stone?
The Vigraha?
No, the structure of the
outer
temple.
Structure. I don't know at the moment. But yeah, the Vigrahas will be of stone, specific stones.
The temples that we see now, which are said to be ancient temples. Like I remember going to this ancient, it's actually a Ram temple now, but I believe it used to be a Shiva temple. And they say it's from the time of the Pandavas.
Okay.
Like they actually spent time in that temple. It's in Himachal Pradesh. I'll have my team put up the photos later. That was entirely rock cut.
Okay.
And it's still as beautiful. It's still, it's sustained through storms, etc. I would kind of wonder that these temples that have survived over so long, because they are made out of stone, effectively. This is what I've learned from Western podcasts also.
Okay.
In terms of why have the pyramids survived for so long? Because over 3,000 years, even plastic erodes, but stone and rocks don't.
Okay.
So, maybe I'm just adding a thought nugget here, but I've always wanted to tell you this, that if I were to visualize what you're trying to do, and that's not my right because it's your vision, but I would have the outer structure built out of stone in such a way that it's probably present 3,000 years from now.
So so outer structure, I've not thought about it till now. Only what I know is the inner structure, how it should be. Let's see. We'll have to speak to experts and see how things go. So I was in conversation with some architects and broadly, and so that is how the plan is. So outer structure, I don't know. So even it could also be, somebody suggested that when we are doing it, so it should reflect the local architecture if possible. I said, okay, So long as the internal structure is exactly what I have in mind, because that is what is the main power center. That is what will, radiate, that will hold the power and radiate that energy outside. And that will have a very strong effect, not only on the people in that space, but across the country also.
This will be a dream project for so many architects. Passion project, dream project. And this is going to reach to the people who are concerned. The financiers also watching this, the architects also watching this.
Finances, though, of course, let's see how it goes. So in a conservative estimate, as we were discussing also, these calls go on with my team also. We are planning how it goes. So at least, perhaps at least 5 crores at a minimum conservative estimate per temple.
Per temple. Let's call it 10 crores per temple.
Yeah.
10 crores realistically. We
yeah.
need an investment of roughly about 100 crores. That's what we're trying to raise. Coming to this Shakti temple conversation. So you're saying that those 8 Bhairav temples need to be established. Post that, is there a game plan for establishing Shakti temples as well?
At this moment, I only have this in my mind. So as things go, then I'll understand. So I don't have a full 100%, 100-year plan for... as the inspiration comes, accordingly. But this I already... this was very strong in my mind, that this has to be there. And not just strong, the whole what internally it should be, that became very clear. What is needed exactly? What are the vigrahas? In fact, this year itself, me personally, along with 1-2 of people of my team, we're planning to at least go and meet a sculptor who makes these things and give the order for the first Bhairava Vigraha with detailed iconographic specifications, the right stone and things like that. Sometime this year, we'll start off. At least the Vigrahas should be ready. Rest will happen. If Baba will sit, it will happen.
Okay. Coming back to the main topic for today.
Yes.
In my heart, I thought we're doing like a Kaali Maa episode and then we'll cover all the angles of...
But here, sorry to...
Go on.
Sorry to...
No, please go for it.
Because Kaali Maa and Bhairav Baba are very strongly linked. So when you are worshipping Mahakali as a Mahavidya, okay, so her consort is Mahakal Bhairav. What that means is that without the blessings of Bhairava, you will never understand Kali fully. It is impossible. I mean, you can have कि I worship Maa Kali and I have bhakti and वो सब ठीक है अपने जगह पे, that's fine. But the reason why the Bhairavas are given is that you must imbibe the tattva of that Bhairava to understand. Dakshina Kali is one form of Kali. It's a very fierce form. In the ancient times also there is an iconography, a very, very powerful iconography. See if you can find it. It's next one, yes.
That is it.
That is a modern painting by somebody.
Damn.
Shankar Sreshta is the painter. I think the name is written there. So this is a modern painting of Kali, Dakshina Kali. A very ancient dhyana of Maa Kali. As per the dhyana it is made. So here, you will notice very interestingly at the base, there are 4 figures. Those 4 are Ishwaras. We worship Ishwara, right? As the all-potent, and these are Ishwara Dattas. Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Ishwara. All 4. Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra and Ishwara. 4 of them are there. They hold the whole structure together.
Brahma, Vishnu,
Rudra. All the 3 Trimurtis. And the 4th one is Ishwara, it's called. Basically, Ishwara is a tattva. The level of Ishwara. Whatever you conceive as an Ishwara is somebody who's very high, right? A god in
all encompassing.
Right.
Okay.
So in the Shakta conception, there are 36 tattvas. In these, they say that Ishwara is also a tattva. Very high category, but it is a category. And that can be, so Brahma is also a Ishwara, Rudra is also Ishwara, Vishnu is also an Ishwara, and there is a generic Ishwara also there. 4 of them. On top of that, there is Sadashiva. Okay. Which is like our Lord Shiva, Sadashiva. On top of that is Mahakal Bhairav, blue in color, dark. On top of that is Dakshina Kali. And this is form of Kali is so powerful and ferocious. She's called Dakshina because Dakshina is the southern direction. Yama and death comes from that direction. Yama gets scared looking at her. Death gets scared seeing this and runs away.
Can you zoom in?
In fact, there are more iconographic details, secrets in this. Everything in this has a meaning. It is not randomly designed by anybody. It's this painting actually is quite more or less accurate as per the dhyana of Dakshina Kali.
How come at this point in human history does Dakshina Kali even want to be revealed to the world in a commercial mainstream podcast like this?
I have no idea. Wait, it's already it's already there on the internet, so that's why I could show you.
No one would Google Dakshina Kali
Yeah.
themselves unless they know about it.
So I don't know, but what I feel is there has been, which I had mentioned once during when we were discussing Tantra in the other podcasts. So what has happened is in the last 30, 40 years, because of the internet and the easy access to information, very esoteric ideas of Tantra are already out in the public. Okay, so what, not only out in the public, but there are people sitting in various universities across the world, they're doing research and all that. Some once in a while, if I read those papers, I like the fact that they bring out old and rare manuscripts, translate them. I don't agree with their conclusions though. I find there is a strong Western bias in whatever they look at. Western bias. So there is an Indian way of looking at it. There's an Upasaka's way of looking at it. So they're not looking at the Upasaka's way. So their rendition of the slokas and everything is correct. The final conclusion is incorrect.
For example?
Some text I was reading on Tantra by some Western scholar. Leave the name aside. Let's just say Western scholar. So he had very well written essay, very, very robust with lot of examples and slokas and this and that. And then he keeps a line, enters that. So Tantra was more like a kind of a revolutionary path that was against the mainstream Brahmanism, and it wanted to kind of, strike back at the Brahminical ideas, things like that. I disagree with this conclusion. So it is true that the mainstream, first of all, the term Brahmanism is highly politically loaded. Let's avoid that. Let's say mainstream Sanatan Dharma, Vedic religion. The Vedic religions, Paddhatis and Tantra Paddhatis are different. I agree to that. Kaula Tantras are definitely different. Then there is not just different, it's like either you're here or you're there. If you try to walk both the paths, eventually you'll fall at one point, or you'll never progress. Your mind has to be schizophrenic eventually. Because these, to give an example, in the Kaula Paddhati, we use ritually sanctified alcohol. But in the mainstream Vedic religion, alcohol is strictly banned. If you take even a drop, you have to do prayaschitta. That's as strict as that. Meat is still okay. Fish is still okay. But alcohol, no. Nobody. And the higher the Varna, which is a Brahmin taking alcohol, is even greater sin. They're very clear about it. So whereas Tantra, if you go to the Kolo mark, you not only have to offer it to the deities, okay, with mantras and all that specifically, not just randomly. But even then, it did not start as a revolt and a revolution or as a social work project or some kind of a social revolution. No. Why? That is because they're saying when you're doing the mantra sadhana, say of Maa Kali, you're doing sadhana, you're doing japa, etc., etc. At the end of the day, at the last step, you'll have to do Brahmin Bhojan, which means you have to feed Brahmins. So if they're against Brahmins or if they're against somebody, why would they tell you to feed Brahmins at the end? The reason is Tantra did not start as some kind of social work. That is the bias that people carry sometimes, many scholars from the West. So because of what, everybody has their own biases, by the way. It's human to have biases. You've grown up in an environment, it'll always be there. Which makes me slightly skeptical, not fully, but slightly skeptical of anybody who has taken to Hinduism after the age of 18. Because there are certain inherent biases that will be there. It's not that easy to remove all those things. It will always pop up here or there or somewhere. It's human and it's natural. Let's put it that way. Okay.
Understood.
The ideas of dharma were very tuned towards people who were born and brought up in this land. That is why there were some ideas initially, some great masters and acharyas like Karpatri Maharaj and all used to believe that you should not even step out of India. The moment you step out of India, either you lose your dharma, you have to do prayaschitta or something.
Is there meat behind that thought?
Which? What?
That if you step out of India, it will affect your sense of dharma?
No, certain practices, if you're doing it, it's better not to step out.
Why?
That's because the environment is very difficult outside. Those cannot be done on those areas. It's like, in a way, for dharma, what we call as dharma, India is like the soul. If the whole earth is a body, then India is the soul. The highest cream, most sophisticated dharma is in India. And I say it with full consciousness. I have, within my capacity, studied other religions, both that are existent and some that are not there. But there is not one thing that is there anywhere which is already not included in the whole gamut of the Hindu thought. Everything has been there. It's that sophisticated. And it's possible because there's something in the geography of this land.
I mean, also keeping actual human history in mind, we did a fantastic episode with Nilesh Oak,
Right.
where we spoke about the geography of India since ancient times,
Right.
since the time of the ice ages. And I can't expand too much on this Nilesh Oak angle. And I highly recommend everyone go watch that episode if you haven't already. But effectively, the stretch from Indonesia to Syria was the ancient land that we call Bharat. So when we're talking about the Mahabharat war, it was people from this entire stretch who had participated.
Okay.
The thing is, the religion, the so-called faith that was practiced in that stretch was very similar to what is practiced only in India today.
Right.
But that whole stretch
Right. That makes
practiced
sense to me.
this set of classical religions.
Correct.
If you talk to someone who's Zoroastrian, Zoroastrianism is kind of the sister religion of Sanatan Dharma. But I feel modern day Hinduism, that what we follow in modern day Zoroastrianism, has originated from some common ancestor religion. The thoughts are the same, the emotions are the same. That's a whole Nilesh Oak style conversation. But my point is that humans have habited this land of the subcontinent for very long.
Correct.
Therefore, obviously, they've built out a more intricate version of the path to spiritual growth.
Perfect. And that is what Sri Aurobindo used to also say. India is like the soul.
Because, I mean, when you say this sentence, on a surface level, a lot of people will hear the sentence and process it as non-secular. But I don't think that's where you're coming from at all. I think what you're trying to say is what I just said. Which is, this land is too ancient.
And that's what all the streams are present here. If you have if you're honest and if you're objective, you'll see that there is some bit of everything inside here. And in spite of that, there is a certain fundamental religious harmony between the different paths in dharma. Yes, intellectually there will be debates. That is all right. The Siddhanta part, the conclusion, okay, I am a Shakta. I believe that nobody is greater than Aadya Shakti. A Vaishnava will disagree. He will say that no, Vishnu is the greatest. In terms of arguments, that's all right. But at the end of the day, there is still a lot of continuum, a lot of parallel in the way, for example, see, this is so brilliant. I was thinking one day, the Tantras reimagine the great rishis, gods. So what we are doing in the Tantra is not that we are worshipping some deity who is outside of the realm. No, we are worshipping Shiva, we are worshipping Shakti. We are also, there are Vishnu related Tantras, there are Ganpati related Tantras, everything related Tantras are there. So it is the same set of deities. We revere the same rishis to the extent that it is believed, for example, in the Tantras, that there are two streams of thought. One says that Lord Rama was initiated into a Tara mantra by Rishi Vasishtha, and that Bharata, who was Lord Rama's brother, was initiated into the worship of Gujja Kaali, one rare form of Maa Kali, the rarest form of Kali. Okay, whether it's not there in the Mahabharata, in the Ramayana. That's okay. But the point is that you reimagine this, you revere these figures. So we are Shaktas doesn't mean that we don't revere Rama or he's a Vaishnava or Shiva is a Shaiva. No. We worship all the deities, we worship all the rishis, Vishwamitra. We believe, for example, that Dattatreya Bhagavan had absolute mastery over Baglamukhi Vidyas, one of the Mahavidyas. So with that, he has the power to control anything in any realm. This maybe a reimagination, but say spiritually useful reimagination. It helps the sadhak. It helps the whole sampradayas. It has got so much Shakti that generation after generation we believe this story, and that helps us to attain success in our sadhana.
There's a lot of everyday people watching this and they want to know how to get closer to Maa Kali,
Yes.
the average person is probably never going to actually go down the path of Tantra.
Yes.
So we've got to talk about Maa Kali from an everyday perspective as well.
Right.
Not everyone's going to practice Tantra in their lives.
Right.
Some people are just going to pray to Maa Kali. And I ask you this from the perspective that there is a Bhadrakali statue in my
Right.
room right here. Like we both can
Right.
see it.
Right.
It may not
Yes.
be shown to the audiences.
Mm.
On the surface, it almost looks like a slightly more fierce statue. And I remember when I was actually
Mm.
purchasing that in Udaipur, I sent you a photo and asked you, should I be keeping this at home? Because it looks pretty intense. And you said, yeah, it's good. You should keep it.
Mm.
I would argue that even this podcast is happening because of the presence of this statue in this room and feel very connected to it. I feel protected. I feel nurtured.
Mm.
I think I also represent a large section of the audiences when I talk about the bhakti I have for Maa Kali.
Yeah.
But Lord alone knows if I'll ever enter Shak's path and, go down the tantric upasana of it. What should the everyday average Indian know about Kali Upasana?
So Maa Kali is always intense in all her forms. It's my opinion is that she's never without, even the softest forms still have that intensity. And there is a very beautiful statement Sri Aurobindo used to make, and I completely agree with that. So he used to say, if you really, you have to be very strong in your mind and heart to love Kali. So that is why she was called to be the mother of the Veeras. Here, Veera need not always be somebody taking a sword and going out and fighting, but somebody who has the capacity to fight back against any challenges that life throws at you. So you get back down and you get up and you fight again. And you fight again and you fight again till you are the one who is left victorious. That attitude, if a person has, is fit to worship Maa Kali and go very deep in the worship. So Sri Aurobindo is to say, when Kali enters your life, properly, if you allow her to enter, he uses a very interesting phrase. If you allow her to enter, which means that she also sees that whether you have called on her or not. So if you have not sincerely called on her, if your devotion is not that, there is a superficial devotion possible. And suppose you are one of those people who are mad about Maa Kali, completely, genuinely mad, and you've called on her, so she can ensure that even in months, you will make spiritual progress that might have taken you 30, 40 years. But the path will be tough.
Why?
Because that is her nature. She is not at all a soft deity. She will, it's like, how would I put it? In a second, in 3 to 4 months, she may combine together the spiritual growth that would have happened in decades. But in order for that to happen, you will have to undergo pain also.
Emotional pain.
Whatever it is. Because the karmas have to be cleared. Without clearing karmas, you cannot go ahead. So that is why one of the things we say is that to worship Maa Kali, you must have that attitude of the Veera. That is the Veera. Who, as I just now described to you, Veera is the guy who in the fight, it's not, you need not be the best fighter, but you have that attitude that every time I fall down, I'll get up and fight. I'll get up and fight, get up and fight. Till I am the only one standing. Infinite patience, absolute determination. It's not that you will not get hit. Everybody gets hit somewhere or the other. If you're born, you'll get hit. That's the basic rule of life. Okay. So whether you're Gautam Buddha or whether you are an ordinary person does not matter. But the attitude that, okay, I get hit, but I'll still get up and I'll still fight. That attitude somebody has towards life, he is absolutely fit to worship Maa Kali. Now, coming to a more simpler upasana of Kali, if you think that you really like Maa Kali, one of the easy ways is there is a stotram of Maa Kali called the Aadya Kali stotram, which was revealed to a great upasak in Calcutta. I don't remember, it must be in the early 1900s or something. And you put Aadya Kali, you'll see the fifth one. So this image that you see of Maa Kali, so this was, if I remember the story correctly, so there was an upasaka who sees in a dream that there is this vigraha of Maa Kali at a certain place, perhaps kept in a garden or somewhere. I don't exactly remember the sequence. And he goes and finds out that Vigraha, and then the local, archaeologists and all that say that this is very ancient. Look at the Vigraha. You don't have Vigrahas like this today, even in Bengal also. So it's like few thousand years old. Okay, and then he keeps it in his home, and many powerful and miraculous things happen. And then on the third day, he gets a dream where he's told that it is so powerful that it should be, the Visarjan of the Vigraha should be done into the Ganges. It's not fit to be kept. And he was a little reluctant. Then he had a dream where Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the great master, he had left his body by then. He comes in the dream. He reveals the stotra of Aadya Kali and says that with this stotra, if you worship, it will benefit not just you, a lot of other people. And then the Vigraha was again, Visarjan of it was done in the Ganges. There is a temple of Aadya Kali in Calcutta also. This stotra of Aadya Kali, which is there on the internet, that anybody can do, any number of times you can do. There is absolutely no restriction on anything. It has a blessing in it. And I have seen people, ordinary people, if you keep doing it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, up to you. Just light one diya, sit quietly, look at this picture of Maa Kali or any other good picture of Maa Kali that you like, pray mentally and start doing that stotra. With that, you will connect to her.
Of course. At this point, I will read out the stotra. Is it too long?
It's a bit long, but...
How long? Like Hanuman Chalisa long?
Around that, maybe.
Oh, okay. I thought it would be like... Yeah, open it.
Open it. Let me see if this is the same one. Om Namo Adya Shinu Vaksha Pravakshami Adya Stutra Mahaphalam Ya Patit Satam. This is the one. Vishnu Vallabha.
Can you read it out? Are you
Yeah, but I don't want to read it out now because there are certain processes I do along with it.
Okay.
When I do it.
I mean, I'm only going... Is it okay if I just read out the first
Yeah.
paragraph?
Yeah.
And this is just for the sake of everyone to...
Basically, anybody can read it. That's okay. And once you read it few times, you'll get more fluent in it.
Okay. Om Namah Adyai
Srinu Vatsa
Shrinuvatsa
Pravakshami Adya Stotram Mahaphalam Ya Patit Sadatang Bhaktya Sa Vishnu Vallava. So basically, once you do the Om Namah Adya, you are bowing to Adya, and then you are Srinu Vatsa Pravakshami, you're, basically that's how the stotra starts, and then you go up. So right at the beginning, it says what are the advantages that will happen that if you chant this stotra.
So, a couple of questions for you. One, what is a stotra? Firstly. Secondly, I know that with mantras, obviously, if you put your emotions into it, it is more powerful. I'm assuming for the sake of one, to put the emotions into it, you need to know the actual meaning of what you're saying. And I'm also assuming that even with stotrams, that's the case.
Yes. So if you know the meaning, it works better. And the meaning is also not that difficult to find out. So in this only say, salutations to Adyama, the meaning is given here. By listening to the stotra and meditating, then Mrityu Vyadhi, Bhayam Tasya, all these things are going. Mrityu, Vyadhi, Bhaya, Sab, all this will go away from you and things like that. Okay. The meanings are mentioned here in this website actually. So knowing just stotra is just like the way you do Hanuman Chalisa is the same way. Something you can read out, and the more devotion you have, the faster it acts.
The more devotion you have, the faster it acts.
Yes.
What do you mean by it acts?
Acts means it will have an effect in your life, positive effect.
Okay.
It will help you to connect to Maa Kali.
Now, if I'm doing Bhairava Upasana, I can do this?
Which one? This?
Yes.
Yes, this anybody can do. Adya Stotram is one of those stotras of Maa Kali which anybody can do. Whereas there are Kali mantras, for that you will have to have some upadesh at least from somebody.
And if you don't have the updation, then you try doing, as is the case with the internet users.
So
also.
that is why I say that is like driving without the driving license. The day you get caught, best of luck.
Okay. Scroll down a little bit. This is like Kali Maa's Hanuman Chalisa. For lack of a better. I'm trying to explain to the average every day.
So this is a stotra of prayer to Maa Kali. Anybody can do this, and Aadya Kali is like, it's the source of all formations of Kali. It's like the most powerful form of Maa Kali in a way. Aadya Kali. Aadya means the origin.
What is a stotra?
So stotra is basically a kind of a prayer.
That's it.
Yes, sometimes it's written in a certain meter, so there could be rhyming schemes inside it, maybe. But fundamentally, it is a prayer to the deity that eulogizes the deity, tells ki, various things, qualities. As you keep reading that stotra, you also visualize, and it helps bring in certain blessings and energies of the deity into your mind, body, and your life.
Before I met you, I was a Satvik yoga practitioner. And now that I'm not Satvik anymore, but my whole angle on spiritual growth was meditate, do the Hong Soham technique. I used to do my Om chanting, Bhamri, all that. And it was a very steady path. But I knew that, there's something in this which is perhaps pushing me out for the sake of something else that's coming. That's when I met you. I learned
Right.
that all this exists. One of the big reasons I was drawn to the path of Tantra, and I've not yet even been initiated or begun actual Tantra, but I am doing my Bhairava Upasana. I'm
correct.
still practicing a little bit of my meditations.
Right.
But I've started doing the mantra jap. I'm very interested in this stotra.
Yes.
I think a part of me will actually practice this. The reason I'm bringing up all this is to just explain my own state of mind, which is also, I believe, the state of mind of many Sanatan Dharma practitioners my age and younger, which is that we grew up in houses where our mothers or fathers would pray to multiple deities.
Correct.
And that felt right, perhaps because of conditioning. I'm conditioned to feel at home when I'm praying to multiple deities. Of course, I want to say Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. I want to pray to Shivji. I want to pray to Ganpati Bhagwan. Of course, I want to connect with Maa Kali as well. Is that the right kind of mentality to have until you're actually initiated and your guru shows you a sharper?
No. So my opinion is that eventually you connect. So there is no harm in worshipping multiple deities. But even then, there has to be a hierarchy in your mind that whom do you connect to most? And there has to be some kind of a reason behind you why you are worshipping this set of deities.
Wow.
So, for example, even in Tantra, as you go, so if you have to worship Maa Kali, you will have to worship Bhairava also.
Why?
And that is because he prepares you for her sadhana. Intense way, Kali mantra japa, if you have to do some blessings of Bhairava, helps you attain mantra siddhi and go faster in that path. He is the one who creates your mind and body, because Kali's energy, Maa Kali's energy, even the Mahavidya energies are very intense. Just one Bhakti Upasana is one thing. So this Stotra and all that is fine. Suppose you want to do Kali Upasana and you take initiation, you take mantra and you do 1 lakh japa. So there is a 22 Akshari Kali mantra, very famous, Dakshina Kali mantra. Okay, this is, that is like just like the Vaishnavas have their Maha mantra, but this one requires initiation and all that. So it requires 2 mantra anushtans, 1 lakh japa, specific foods you have to eat, specific times of the day you have to do. Intense experiences will start of Maa Kali. In order for your mind and body to be able to sustain that pressure, you will need the blessings of Bhairava Baba.
And a guru.
Guru to hai hi. Guru will tell you this when you start doing it. Okay.
What is the Maa Kali version of the basic Om Bhairavaya mantra that we do?
You can do the Nama mantra from Kalika Inama, but I don't recommend it for people. She is intense, very intense.
Then I won't go down this pathway.
No, you do this stotra, that is for anybody. So that is what, if I'm telling something in public forum here or in my any other place, so I make sure that I'll tell you only that which is safely doable. There is no harm in that stotra. If you keep doing it few days, you'll become more accustomed to it. And then just light one diya, one agarbatti, sit and do. That's all with devotion. It will bring some positive development in your life. There's no doubt. If you carry it for 3 months, you'll definitely see a stronger connection to Maa Kali.
Why do you not recommend the shorter Kali mantra to everyone?
No, because she's very intense.
Not for everyone.
No, if you are, I don't know how your karmas are lined. Suppose you are somebody who has had some contact with Maa Kali somewhere and you start doing it and she comes in a full intensity. She's there. She's like that. She's the most, most fiercest of all deities. No other deity, nobody, male, female, nothing. When she gets into form, it is like it's a battle. She is that types. And only thing that the upasaka can do, eventually the higher ranges of Kali, you just put your feet down at your head at her feet and say, bas. That's all. Surrender.
When it comes to the Bhairava Upasana that I am doing and that many people are doing, I believe an effect that it's had on me, and it may be my own conscious effort to bring about that change, but I can definitely feel the Upasana helping me with that change, which is that feel a sense of detachment.
Yes. That is the beginning of your recreation of your mind and body. Adhara. And the other thing is, it's just the beginning. So if you carry on Bhairava Upasana for a few years, as you have experiences, you grow more connected to Bhairav Baba, organically he will take you to the right Shakti Upasana. What is fit for you? He loves Shakti Upasana. He loves Shakti Upasana.
By right Shakti Upasana, you mean a different female deity,
Which form of Devi is best suited for individual?
which is different depending on the
It
personality.
could be many things. Purvajana samskara, what you might have done in your past lives, what family you are born in, things like that. So you are not aware of all this information, but he is a deity, so he knows. So what is the best thing for you? And Bhairava loves Shakti Upasana.
It's just an outcome of Bhairava Upasana that you will
Natural outcome, but not on day one.
be right.
So if you keep doing it eventually, and you grow deeper into Bhairava Upasana, then he will put in the right thoughts, the right inspiration into you to enter into Shakti Upasana.
So you said that you wouldn't recommend the short Kali mantra to everyone.
No.
Have you met people who have not done any other upasana, but you feel that yes, this person is built for the Kali Upasana?
Yes.
You have.
Yes.
Guys,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Men, women.
Men, women doesn't matter.
Okay.
Men, women doesn't matter.
I'm also assuming it's something in the astrological chart that indicates.
Yeah, that can indicate. Yes, definitely that can indicate. There are some. Plus, also once I meet an individual carefully, so either if I have an intuitive thought about an individual that this has to be, obviously that is if I'm guiding an individual. If I'm not in my mind, if I'm not guiding an individual, then all this doesn't matter. I'll not even utter a word of this. But if I'm guiding an individual and I feel that XYZ individual will do good if he or she chants this specific mantra of Maa Kali, then I may tell that individual. But the thing is that in that case, there's a feedback loop. So I'm guiding means obviously the individual will give me a feedback that okay, I'm chanting it for so many days, XYZ experience or this is happening, and with that I can assess if things are all right or not.
So, in the same way that the Om Bhairavaya Namaha mantra eventually causes a sense of detachment for beginners like myself, say if one is meant for the Kali mantra and starts the Upasana upon that basic Kali mantra or even the Stotram, what is the personality change in that person?
For most people, most average people, so Kali is fierce. There is a certain degree of ferocity also that will come in. Ferocity, fearlessness, and an intensity. There is an intensity in Kali which is not there in any other form.
Like you.
No, I'm just not.
There is that intensity in Rajarshi Nandy also.
There's just an ordinary person. But Maa Kali's intensity is there. When it enters into an individual, as I keep saying, Kali is that eventually as you go deeper, it's like you are standing in front of the tornado. वैसे वाला feeling आएगा. And you cannot be scared. Obviously, you will be scared, but you cannot run away. All you do is surrender. She comes with a maximum force. Maximum force. And if you love that, it's like, to go back to that analogy which I was saying. So there are people who enter into a battle. You may or may not be the best warrior, but you have the greatest tenacity. You will get hit, you'll get up, brush off, again start. That attitude, if you have, you will love Maa Kali and she will love you.
There's a footballer called Lisandro Martinez.
Okay.
He's a 5'8" centre back. Centre backs are the tallest positions. So usually 6'3", 6'4". 5'8" guy. He's in the team as one of the best defenders because of tenacity. Sometimes football reveals character. I was trying to think of a cricket example of what you were saying. Who's a tenacious cricketer? Shri Shant,
Hmm.
something like that. That kind of a personality,
Okay.
which is not very common in the world.
Hmm.
You'll find a lot more people probably suited to Bhairava Upasana, I am assuming.
Yeah. In fact, I was just few days ago, I was talking to some of my students and I was telling the beauty of Baba is that he looks ferocious from the outside. He's very soft-hearted. Maa Kali is not like that, or Maa Tripura Sundari is not like that. Tara is not like that. They will test you to your very DNA. You enter into that domain, so you have to be very clear in your mind how much engagement you want. It is one thing to have bhakti on them, which is what you will do if you have the stotra and all that. And of, say, 1,000 people are doing that stotra, maybe 20 or 30 of them have the karmic right alignment to go deeper into Kali Upasana. Then the Divine Mother Maa Kali only will set the path for them. It's not something I have to worry about. The running of the universe is their job. Okay, so they will set the path that what is the right thing to do and how deeper engagement it will happen and all that. But the other thing with Kali Upasana is to handle her pressure and power. Your adhara has to be built, as I say, with Bhairava Upasana prepares the adhara very strongly. She dances around. Adhara means your mind and body has to be very steady.
Nature.
This detachment that you are experiencing, this is the rebuilding of the adhara. So anything that happens, you are okay, cool, chill, we'll see. You won't panic. Anybody, in fact, don't ask me more details of this, but just by looking at an individual, if you're sitting in a room, there's 10 other people near me, etc., just by looking at the individual, or not even the full part, just the hands of the individual, you can make out ki Aadhar mein kitna power hai, whether they can take Kali Upasana. It is not important to only have experiences. There may be some people I meet when I do retreats and other places, I know that they will have a lot of experiences. It's very evident. They may be psychic also. But only psychic and experience is not spirituality. You must have the ability to digest that power. It opens up and you are seeing this vision, that vision, etc. But your life is a wreck. What is the point? It's the better you stop all that and you have a lead a normal, non-religious life. You have to have, at no point can you lose control. Only time you lose control is when you reach a very high state and to the Devata. Nothing else below the deity I will lose control to. Not any being, not anybody, nothing. Nothing is worth it. The human birth is very rare. The only thing better than a human birth is that of the divine. उसके आगे पीछे और कुछ नहीं सोचना है. In fact, Maa Kali is so. I remember one incident right now. Once I was doing a retreat there's a place in Bengal, Birbhum district, Sanatan Siddhashram. It's a Baul ashram there. And there's a very great Baul master who runs that ashram. It's a lady Baul master, Srimati Parvati Baul. She kindly allows me to do retreats there. And I was doing a Ganpati retreat. 5 days of Ganpati Upasana, Mantra Sadhana, mantras that can be done and all that. During that time, I had a very, this was years long back, some encounter with some entity at night one day. After the retreat was over and all that.
Love this. Go on.
And it was a bit shocking to my ear. I didn't expect that it would suddenly make an appearance near me. And I woke up and it was a shock to the nervous system. Let's put it this way.
It happened in your dream?
No. I woke up and then saw the thing, etc. So next day I woke up. Next day when sunlight broke and all that. So there was a tremendous. It felt like as if somebody, there was a pain in my body and it was like a very, very bad pain. And I couldn't even sit. Okay. Forget walking or anything. It's as if somebody has beaten you or physically beaten you up, that type of. Okay. And I didn't know what to do because there's some other processes, rituals had to be done and I couldn't even sit. How will I do the rituals and etc.? Whole day passed in a very difficult condition with medicines and this and that I'm taking. I knew it's because of that entity that had made an appearance.
What did it look like, sir?
No, leave that aside. Okay.
Loosely, scary.
Scary, yeah, scary.
Male,
Scary,
female?
Female. Scary female.
Old, young? Sorry. Go on. I live for these
I know.
sections of the conversation. But go on.
But the best part was, next day in the evening, there is a Shakti Pitha close by. is a very ancient temple of Maa Kali, which is known as Konkali Tola, we call it. You'll find it in Google also. Right, full right. Yes, this is the Garbhagriha. Okay.
Zoom in.
So this is somebody's putting up the photo of the Garbhagriha. It's just a photo that's kept there. Okay, there's no Vigraha there. And there's a pond. That pond is very sacred.
Where?
It's in the photo, I mean, it's not shown here, next to it. Okay. But very intensely powerful energy of Maa Kali is in that space. Very intense, very brilliant. I mean, for meditation purposes and other, it's exceptional. So I remember I had visited this place evening with a friend, and with one mala of joba, which is red hibiscus flowers, all I did was went inside and put that. The moment I put that, I felt as if something has been completely removed from me. Immediately I felt absolutely fine, like even the doctors and everybody were stunned. Just like as if nothing has happened. Just cured, second, instant. An instant. This specific Maa Kali, I on and off, when I get opportunity, I go there and I meditate and I pray.
Where is it?
It's in Birbhum in Bengal. It's in the same district where Tarapit is also there. There are 5 Shakti Pithas there.
How far is this from Kolkata?
This should be few hours, I think, 3-4 hours. Okay, trains are there and cars, etc. But I have been to this place many times for years. I really love this temple, this area. See, this is the beauty of Shakti Upasana. It's not just the Vigraha. The area is important. There's a cremation ground close by. There is a north flowing river close by. It's little desolate. It's the right place for deities like Maa Kali to make their presence felt.
One thing I've come to realize through this series of podcasts with you and Dr. Swoboda and all these guys is that deities also have preferences when it comes to geography.
Yes.
Correct to say?
Correct. Absolutely.
Why do you think Maa Kali has chosen Bengal?
That's difficult for me to say why she has chosen, but one of the reasons though is that I find one interesting thing in the geography of rural Bengal specifically as I go in, which is also there in northern Bihar and those areas. So there's a lot of water bodies. And there's a lot of greenery in the rural areas. These two, because of water body, what happens is that greenery and there is an outgrowth of certain kinds of trees. In fact, very interestingly, that type of areas become more potent for plus open cremation grounds in very rural deep areas. These type of places become more conducive to certain kinds of Shakti Upasana.
Okay, fair. Should we be talking about Maa Tara in this episode or leave that for another episode where we can break it down fully? Does it require that kind of a breakdown? And I ask you this because I remember asking a friend of mine what Maa Tara is in Sanatan Dharma, because Maa Tara has a whole identity in Tibetan Buddhism.
Right.
Where they have 21 Taras.
Right.
I would argue that it's the same core deity that they're talking about. Or if it's not, then the 21 Buddhist Taras have to be some version of Aadya Kali, which is the origin point.
No, so the Buddhist Taras and our Maa Tara fundamentally are similar, but the Bodhas have taken her in a much more wider spectrum. So they have different powers of her have been attributed. I feel that's way as an outsider. I'm not a practitioner of the Buddhist path. So her powers have been slowly, iconography has been delegated to 21 different divisions. So there is a very Somya forms of Tara, softer forms, fierce forms of Tara are there. In our conception, the Mahavidya Tara is very fierce.
Maybe the word they use, Tara, as a word probably means Devi.
No, Tara means one who saves you from difficulties. Tarna in Hindi. That is Tara.
Yeah.
Anybody who's going to protect you from difficulties, she is that kind of a devata who protects the upasaka from all difficulties.
Yeah. I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up, because the first image you showed of Kali Ma with the hands.
Yes.
Like this. There was a hand like this and then there was a hand in the opposite direction. That same logic is there with the Buddhist Taras. In fact, in the old podcast, the Murti weight kept was the Buddhist Tara.
Right.
But in my eyes, all the Devis, even whether we're talking about the Dash Mahavidyas, Saraswati Ma, they're effectively coming out of that same origin point of Shakti.
So they are all, each of these, specifically the first three Mahavidyas, they can each of them become Parashakti.
Okay.
So it is not only Maa Kali. For a Tara Upasaka, she can become the ultimate source of from which all the Mahavidyas have come.
Okay. The Tara that we have in Sanatan Dharma.
Pull up the image of Maa Tara. Right. So say second one. This is a painting. This is the full thing. Okay. This is Tara. Completely. How do you know this is Tara?
How do you know it's not Maa Kali?
So you have to first observe when you see a painting that is properly done, that's based on the Shastras. Start not by looking at the face. Start by looking at the edges of the hands. What is the deity holding? That is how your investigation should start. So here you will see there is a skull, bowl, patra she is holding. Then there is a lotus, blue lotus. That blue lotus is identical with Tara. Only she holds the blue lotus. Maa Kali will not hold the blue lotus. And then there is a kharga and then there is a scissors.
Maa Kali has the kharga but not the scissors.
No. But most importantly, there are variations of Tara. Various variations of Tara within the broad structure of Maa Tara that we worship. And the other thing that you will see is that look at her head. There's a snake there. That is a Bhairava, Akshobhya. In fact, along with that, there is sometimes very often depicted 5 skulls in a head. This is similar to the Buddha Tara also. Buddha's Taras will also have 5. I think they might have Dhyani Buddha. I don't know exactly. They have 5 symbols there. And our Maa Tara paintings, many of them, will also have 5 skulls on the ear. So this is basically, she is in the cremation ground, standing on a corpse. But sometimes this can change. Instead of a corpse, it could be actually a burning pyre.
There was also an image of 2 people in intercourse.
Yes. So that is one iconography of Tara. That's not the most popular iconography, but that is one iconography of Tara. So that is why I chose this one, because this is more common.
This is a corpse.
This is a corpse. Okay. She's standing on a corpse. And that blue lotus signifies wisdom, spiritual wisdom that she gives to an upasaka. The skull is a patra that she holds, which is very useful in certain sadhanas. Basically, it has a meaning, but more importantly, eventually, as the sadhana deepens, the upasaka realizes that it is his own skull that she is holding.
Fun. Why the scissors?
Because she cuts off things.
Removes things from your life.
What is not needed. And that is the most interesting thing about Maa Tara. She cuts off things that is not needed, but provided you have the tenacity to hold on to the new configuration. Most people do not like change. So you, even if the old situation is not perfect, you'd still like better than the, something unknown, or you want to still hang on to the old, and that is what causes you misery. In my opinion, Maa Tara mantra sadhana, if it is done, always it starts with some kind of a bang.
Bend.
No, some kind of a tandav, bang. In your life. That's how she starts always. But eventually she saves you from all, because we worship her as Ugra Tara. Ugra Tara though means somebody who saves you from Ugra difficulties, most fierce difficulties. But it also is that she's a cremation ground deity. So she comes with that kind of an energy. But at least in my life, I've seen whenever there has been most complicated difficulties and I've worshipped Maa Tara, there has always been a solution. Yes, the solution may or may not be according to it. It's not going to be very... So she's fierce and the solution will also be fierce, and that scissors will start working. Whoever has to be cut off, she'll smoothly trimming she will do. We have to hold on very tight to her. If you follow her lead, you will grow higher, stronger and better in every sense. But that's also where many people falter, because we are conditioned to, hang on to things that are old.
When I first met you, you gave me the mantra which went Tara Divyaya Namaha.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if is I mean, I don't know if it's an actual Sanskrit mantra in the first
It's
place.
just just with the name. It's not the actual mantra of Maa Tara, but one can just do it. It's okay.
It's a
There's
base
no harm
level.
in it. Yeah.
Why would one pray to Maa Tara and not Maa Kali?
No, it's not like that. That you have to. So why would one pray to? No, that's so like asking why would I want to pray to Kali and not Hanumanji or not Shiva or something like that. It's up to your
Personal.
personality. But s- the thing with Tara, Maa Tara, is that her, though she comes across initially with a certain degree of aggression, but there is still a little bit more motherliness in her than Kali.
Softness.
Slight softness, but within the context. Don't expect the full mushy softness kind of thing. It's the cremation ground softness. Okay. So first of all, in both cases, you have to be very steady. The Bhairava Kripa is absolutely necessary. And she is lightning fast. Once you have connected to her, her effects start just like that. In fact, before I came to the first show, I had done a Maa Tara Anushtan, small, at home. And when I came in and I saw that Vigraha of Maa Tara, I was least expecting, of course, that there would be a Maa Tara of all places in the world will be here. So then I knew that that whatever the Anushtan had done is working. Its energy is there.
And it was a Buddhist
Yes.
Tarama.
At the end, deity is one. Both the Tara, all Taras are one, but they have their own mantra krama, mantra and other ritual krama and all that. We have our own. In fact, there's a very interesting story from one of the tantras, and quite a few tantras. Brihad Nila Tantra, Tara Rahasya. Then even in the Rudrayamal Tantra, there is a story that Rishi Vasishtha, once who was the Manasputra of Brahma, wanted to attain Siddhi of Mahamaya. So he goes to Kamakhya, and for 1000 years he does mantra sadhana. And he doesn't succeed. Okay. And he gets angry because he's a rishi after all. He's like great, and not ordinary rishis, one of the Brahma rishis. So he gets angry and he says that I'm going to curse this Vidya so that nobody can succeed. The moment he says this, he's thinking of this. There's a Daiva Vani, there's Akashvani, there's a divine voice he hears. And that voice tells him that your mantra is correct, but your paddhati of sadhana is not correct. That is why you're not succeeding in this. So he goes to, they say that he goes to Mahachina. There's a place that's like Tibet kind of area. In fact, most likely, in my opinion, Tara was already worshipped even before Buddhism came into Tibet. She was already a deity there, present there, okay, in those areas before the advent of Buddhism. So he goes there, Vasishtha, and in Mahachina, that area, he sees there is a man like an Aghori sitting, full, long hair and like that. And there are 3 very beautiful women around him. And in front of him is kept a bowl of meat and alcohol and fish and all that. And he gets full furious. So he gets furious and he says to that person that what kind of sadhana is this? Okay. And then there's a conversation that happens between the two. And in that conversation, he, at the end of the conversation, he realizes that the man who is sitting is actually Buddha Rupi Narayan. He looks like a Buddha, but he's not Gautama Buddha. He's a very ancient type of enlightened being, let's say, who is actually Vishnu, nobody other than Vishnu himself, who has taken that form. And those 3 women are Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati. And he tells him, there's a discourse that happens on the use of Pancha Makara and Panchatattva, which is the foundation of Kola Tantra. The 5 ingredients, how to use them. And he tells you, do her Upasana now in this method that I taught you, with the same mantra. And then you see. From there, they say, the story goes, the lore goes that he goes to Tarapit. And he does sadhana there and he succeeds in having a vision of Tara with the Pancha Makara Pancha Tattva. So basically, Maa Tara is a cremation ground deity. Number 2, Maa Tara has 2 other forms. One is Neela Saraswati, one is Eka Jata. Eka Jata means there is one single jata in her head. Okay. One jata. And Neela Saraswati is a blue Saraswati. She is also cremation ground deity. She is not like the normal Saraswati. She is Saraswati, but not the normal Saraswati. And the dhyana says there's a lotus that is coming out in a cremation ground. On that lotus, she's sitting down and she holds all the skulls and everything there, Neela Saraswati. So she gives to an individual Mahapragya, something that's beyond Jnana. Gyan is you will get normally through the worship of Saraswati, etc. She gives you something that is a Vijnana. How to apply that knowledge. And that comes spontaneously. That comes only in a state of enlightenment. But she sits in the cremation ground. That is Neela Saraswati. In fact, one of the things they say that when Tara blesses somebody, he attains a great proficiency in whether it's poetry or speech or writing or something, one of the first blessings that come. Then there are many other things that is possible, etc.
That's the end of the episode.
Yes.
Fun.
Yeah.
I thought we're going to cover many more Devis in this particular episode, but it's meant for the next time. So thank you, Rajarshi Nandy. So lots of fun.
Thank you.
That was the episode for today. All I will say is that the next one, which is the finale of the series, will be released in a few weeks. You're not ready for that one. That is about the Dash Mahavidyas. Possibly the one episode of this series that truly stayed with me was that one. This one was very good. It's the best episode until now. But just wait and watch. You're not ready for the final episode of this 2024 special series with Rajarshi Nandy. Lots of love. Jai Bhairav Baba. Jai Maa Kamakhya. Thank you for listening in.